Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Zen Garcia.
Hello and welcome to the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba, and this is my 200th episode on TFR. Yay, we finally got here. Sorry it's taken so long to do this broadcast. There's been various things that have kept me from doing it in the past, but I felt like tonight would be a good night to do it, and I am joined once again by my friend and co-host for our Quest for Truth series on the Book of Genesis, Zen Garcia. Are you there, sir?
I am, brother. Good to be here with you, and congratulations on the 200th show, and also the 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, and things are just progressing along quickly, huh?
Yeah, right in time for the end of the world.
Right.
Oh man, things are crazy. But yeah, man, I'm on Facebook timeout. I've been put in 3 days of
really?
Facebook jail. I can't do anything.
For what?
Well, I'm not really sure. It said I had multiple violations. If you've been watching my Facebook page over the last couple of weeks, I've been, posting on what's going on with I'm just going to say the drama with our elections right now, because certain keywords can get us shut down, apparently. But that's how crazy things are getting, man. Like, you can't even say certain things without getting banned, blocked, deleted, put in Facebook prison. And then there was another a guy that he said, well, here's one for you, Rob Skiba. He tagged me, right? And I usually don't ever see tags that people do. I just don't check that. I just happened to see it right at the top of the homepage screen there when I signed into Facebook. And they're like, how come the moon looks one way up, with this part up, in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere it's upside down, huh? I bet you can't explain that with atmospheric lensing. And I'm like, oh, brother, that's like actually the dumbest of the arguments, really. So I went through my, debunking the top 10 playlist that I have for the usual arguments, right? And that's one of them. And I posted that one, and that's what automatically came up. And Facebook removed the video and said, you've had multiple violations this week. You're done for 3 days. Wow. So I can't even defend myself with that. And that was an innocent one. It was just showing, hey, guess what? Ryan looks upside down because you just went a little further south.
Right. Exactly.
You're looking up the skirt now instead of looking at his head. Yeah, man. So my thought for tonight is to limit it to our discussion that we've been having for the last several hundred hours on the Genesis and the synchronized biblically endorsed extra biblical texts that go along with Genesis, such as Enoch, Joshua, and Jubilees, and writings of Abraham and Targums and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll keep things from getting out of line and getting us in trouble.
Right. Yeah, because we have covered quite some controversial stuff.
Well, yeah, it'll get it won't keep us out of trouble. Probably get us into a different variety of trouble, but at least probably not one that'll get us blocked or banned from social media anyway. Any number of other things. That's another question. So, if you're listening, I actually put up a video about an hour ago on YouTube saying that we're going to do this. So hopefully people will migrate to TFR. And if you are listening through the TFR network, through its variety of ways that you can do so, the call-in number is 213-233-3998. Again, the call-in number, get a pen and pencil if you don't have one, is 213-233-3998. And so we'll banter a bit for a few more minutes, and then we'll go to the phone lines and see who's out there that might want to chat with us. What you been up to, man, since last?
Just finishing the Dragon Lords. I wanted to do one more quick proofread through, and then I'm going to release it, and then take a little time off, and then start working on the Enoch script. Even I have started it already, so it's just a matter of getting kind of the outline down for that, and once I do, I'll send that to you, and then we can kind of fill in and alter and change. as we proceed and whatever. But it'll give us kind of a skeleton framework to kind of work off of. But
Yeah.
I did want to make one other mention with regard to all the Facebook, and it seems like, and they've been bringing them in before Congress, and it seems like there's a coordinated effort between Twitter and Facebook and Google and other entities to do this whole condemnation and censoring, and it's just unfortunate, because here we're supposed to be in the land of the free and home of the brave, and free speech being one of the one of the big freedoms given to us and secured by supposedly the Constitution. But yeah, that's not such the reality.
Yeah, I've been keeping up on that too. Wow, Senator Cruz and some of the other guys just really laid into the Facebook and founders. Was it Twitter guy? What's his name? Jack? Is it Jack Dorsey or something?
I believe so, but I'm not for certain.
And Zuckerberg. Yeah, boy, a lot of stuff been going on. That's for sure. Things are going to get real interesting here shortly, I think. But I'm looking forward to Lighthouse, that deal that Sean Griffin is putting together. I think I forgot if it's the beginning of December, or I forgot the date, but it's supposed to officially launch next month. So
you did the interview with him and found out the details?
Yeah, I did. I did a pre-recorded show with him last week, and for those of you who caught that and wanted to see it again or whatever, people were wondering what happened to the video. I took it down just because I'm bringing it into my computer to set the commercial breaks and everything for TFR. So it will air as a pre-recorded show next week here at TFR, and I'll also re-upload it to YouTube. So, but yeah, it was a good interview that I had with him, and man, dude, like, it has a lot of really awesome features for content producers.
Really, that's cool.
And it basically combines like Facebook, YouTube, and Etsy, the functionality of all three into one platform. So, like, when you go to your user dashboard, it has your video options for what you've already uploaded, what you want to upload, and then it has a section for your social media interaction with people. That's like the Facebook side of it, and then it has a whole section for your products. And
wow, that is great.
Yeah, all right there, boom. So you can your books or any kind of T-shirts or anything else you might have, whatever, you can upload that to have your own store. So there's no ads that play on the videos, which is cool. So there's no commercials. They make their money a variety of different ways and perks and things that you can have add-ons for, that you can pay for, and advertising space that you can advertise, like in the upper right-hand corner is like one of the ad slots that they have, stuff like that. So there's several ways the platform itself can raise money. Obviously, it costs money to maintain something of that nature. But for the content producers, just a whole lot of opportunities for partnership. So you get 6 partners for free that you can align. So like you and I would be a pretty much a no-brainer considering everything we're doing together and so what happens is, because I'm partnered with you and you're partnered with me, both of our audiences, even though we have a lot of crossover audience, I'm sure a lot of the same people, but you might have people I don't have and I might have people you don't have, we'll get notifications. So, hey, Rob uploaded a video. Hey, Zen uploaded a video. And there's opportunity for profit sharing, for collaborative things that we might want to do together. I might say, hey, Zen, for like the next 3 months, would you market my book on your page? And then you get a percentage of whatever we agree on. And so there's just a lot of cool stuff that's built into the back end for us to create internal partnerships. And I think anything over 6, you have to pay some kind of fee to get some more partners or whatever. But yeah, you're going to want to watch that interview, because I did a screen share and I could show everybody, Sean was showing people live on the air what everything looks like, but very exciting. And, I know a lot of people are going to MeWe and Parler and, BitChute and DLive and all these other platforms, but I'm like, if I could have it all in one place, That would be
Right.
so much better. So
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely, and he's got some. I think he said something like 30 people are employed working on this thing. People in the high tech world, and it's got some really good financial backing from largely Christians that are sick of all the censorship, and they're like, he had some conversations with them, and they're like, really, it's that bad? Well, we just need something that's an alternative. So definitely looking forward to that.
Well, that's awesome. Good for him and them for creating, because it is definitely needed. And with things getting out of hand on the censorship side, the writing's on the wall with regard to when's the plug going to be pulled. So
yeah, no doubt. Well, we got about 15 minutes in this segment before we go to break. You want to jump into the phone lines, or is anything
sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Chat about? Okay. Well, I just unmuted the first. I'm going in chronological order to people that I see in the studio here. So area code 937. Who do I have here?
Oh yeah, this is Justin.
Justin, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing really good.
Welcome.
Yeah. What's on your mind? What you got a question related to our Genesis series that we've been doing?
Oh, your Genesis series. Well, does that have anything to do with? I'm trying to think here. Sega Genesis, the game system, or
no, the Book of Genesis.
Oh, the Book of Genesis. Oh, the Bible.
Yeah. Have you been listening to our series that we've been doing? We've got about 200 hours of broadcasts we've done so far.
Oh, I was listening to some of it earlier. I was calling into the Gematria effect. Have you guys heard of Gematria?
Yeah, he was. That's Zachary Hubbard. He's in the time slot right before.
Yeah, Zachary Hubbard. Have you guys heard of him?
Yeah. He's
he's one of the hosts.
He's a host that speaks right before me. So his show just ended about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you guys if you guys have any knowledge or information on Gematria, and do you think that you can use that practice in business practices like Genesis, Expedia, what do you think you could use that type of practice of numbers and letters?
I'm not sure if you're talking about using it in the sense of predicting the future or anything like that. I'm not familiar with anything in that regard, but and maybe Zen can speak a little bit more to this, but I'm certainly familiar with it in terms of biblical usage and what they call the Torah codes, and that each letter of the Hebrew alphabet also has numerical value. And I have a friend of mine who's got a theory that is fascinating. And actually, I think Chuck Missler, I don't know if you ever heard of Chuck Missler, but I believe it was him. I could be mistaken, but I think he was the one who was saying it, is that when people who understand language and understand the Gematria and how it works with the Hebrew and all that, and they created some kind of computer algorithm where they took all the 5 books of Moses, the first 5 books of the Bible, and put it into a computer that was actually came up essentially in 3 dimensions, it was 3-dimensional. So we just read it on the page.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we see text on a page, that's it. But they were saying that you can look at it from front, back, up, down, all around, and that it's really, really intricate. And I forget exactly what it was, but Genesis and Exodus, I think it's every 7th letter, if I remember right. I could be wrong, but I think it's every 7th letter spells Torah, and that's in the entire all through Genesis. You could read starting from the first letter, count 7 letters, and it'd be the next letter in the word Torah, and and so forth. Same with Exodus, and then when you get to Leviticus, it spells the name of God, Yod He Vav He, and I don't remember if it was every 7th or if it was a different letter count. They call it equal letter spacing, and then in Numbers and Deuteronomy, the last 2 books of Moses, it spells Torah backwards. So in the 5 books of Moses, you have Torah, facing toward Yod He Vav He, and Torah Torah on the other side facing toward Yod He Vav He, which I always found fascinating. So, and in terms of numerical value, I know there's a lot of websites of people out there that will look up numerical values, the Gematria, for different names and different words that are in the Bible, and find deeper meaning and revelation and understanding that way. But that's
deeper meaning.
Yeah, that's about the extent of what I know of it. But maybe Zen, you can pipe in if you're familiar with anything else.
I wanted to ask. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Was you speaking?
Zen's my co-host, so I was just going to see if he had anything he wanted to add to it.
I won't add much.
Oh, okay.
But with regard to the ELS, I think that God understands on multiple levels and multiple dimensions these kind of codes, and was able to present them, which in my opinion shows that the word is inspired, and was only until recent that even these kind of codes could be unlocked and decoded because of the capability of computers. And so, it shows, I think it's an indication again that we are nearing the time of the end, when all of the truth is being revealed in this manner. And the fact that you had things like Yitzhak Rabin and his assassination being encoded and able to be, brought up and shared, and those kind of things, and so much more, even like 9/11 and all kind of other stuff that are coming to light with people studying and searching for codes every day and finding all kind of information. I mean, it's really an amazing area of study, and it's seems to be boundless. And again, in my opinion, it just shows the inspired nature of the mind of God, and having presented and encoded into the Torah these kind of just exceptional things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, honestly, I've been really baffled and amazed by the different coding and letters by Gematria, which could also be related to biblical, in the Bible. But it really has amazed me, and I wanted to use an example. I don't know if you guys, I don't want to try to go way far off here and get off this topic, but obviously everybody knows, I'm just going to use this as an example, everybody knows Kobe Bryant died, right? The basketball player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away in a helicopter crash. I noticed his last game that he played 4 years ago in 2016. He scored 60 points. The rest of his team scored 41 points. He took his last shot against a guy that was wearing the number 41 jersey for the Utah Jazz. And they took him out of the game to salute the crowd with 4.1 seconds left on the clock. And then 4 years later, he died at 41.
Mm.
I don't know, do you think there's any kind of connection to those 4 ones? Or do you think that's just coincidental?
Well, that's outside of my pay grade. It's not something I'm really familiar with. That would be a question for Zachary Hubbard. I know that's his field of expertise. So, he's on for 2 hours, I believe, right before my show. So you might want to call into his show next week and see what he has to say. But I appreciate your thoughts, man. I'm going to get to some other callers here. We've got a few minutes before we go to break, and thank you for calling in.
Oh, I appreciate that.
All right. And the next one I have in the queue here is area code 815. Let me unmute you there. Andrew, I think it is. Andrew, 815?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well. I just had a quick question in response to what you said last week about the circumcision and everything.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with any other feast or anything else like that you're not allowed to do if you're uncircumcised?
Not off the top of my head, no. The only one I know you have to be circumcised for is Passover, but I can't off the top of my head think of any others. Zen, can you?
No, I don't know of any other prohibition for, not being circumcised with regard to celebration, observing, or honoring the feast.
And like I think we mentioned in the broadcast when we're talking about this, none of us can truly do Passover like the way it's really done. So I think there's a reasonable argument to say that all we're doing is rehearsing right now. But my counter argument to that would be, well, even when you rehearse, you try to get it right. So it's not something that I would personally want to take a chance with, but I know there are others out there who say, hey, it's not that big a deal, but just me, I'm going, well, having been a theater guy, even when I rehearse, I'm trying to get it right. So
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Okay, well, that's really all I had for you. No.
Okay.
No, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Okay, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And let's go to area code 909. I think that's out in California. 909, are you there?
Yes. Yes, I am. Rob, can you hear me? Zen?
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, I love you guys so much. I listen to you. Gosh, it must. I don't know, for 3+ years, etc. Rob, I love you for your the stance you've taken on since 2015. Like I say, I listen to your Sabbath programs, but more important, like to me, I love the Zen programs. Zen, I love you so much. Oh my gosh, I've been listening since. I don't know if Rob had you on for the serpent seed stuff when you're debating. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was a young black. I don't know if he's a pastor or not, but the serpent seed stuff. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me get to it. Zen. Gosh. Oh, I just got nervous for a second. What? Oh, okay. Rob, it was you that led me because of what you were talking about like a couple weeks ago or months ago about a Timothy Alberino show. And my point is that, oh my gosh, then Timothy and you guys mesh so well on those two programs. And Rob, you mentioned that, and so I had to go look back on YouTube, and it was so awesome to listen to those programs. My point is that I would really, I don't know if you guys know that for whatever reason, he's not with Gen 6 with Steve Quayle anymore. And I was really hoping, because I love you guys, I can't wait for the Book of Enoch, what's that called? The screenplay you guys are going to do in the movie and see it. Oh my gosh. But I would love it if you guys could get Timothy Alberino on with you guys. And I'll take, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he would do it just because he's not into biblical cosmology, but I was not aware that he's no longer with Gen 6. Do you know what happened, or that's news to me?
The only thing I could find, because on the internet, I looked and I can only find one response from Twitter from Timothy himself. And I believe it said that, and it was like maybe December 2019. So recently, I'm no longer with Gen 6. So, they didn't make a big to-do about it, but I was really hoping that, like, because Zen, you guys got along so well, and you guys were like, and by the way, Zen, the way you handled yourself, you were on the top of your game during those two YouTube things that I listened to. It was awesome. And so I just want to salute you guys, and I'm rambling, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to two of my heroes. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, brother.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll get off and I'll let you guys think.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome. Just
see.
because, I don't know what he's doing. And, gosh, Rob, with all the seed stuff, because he helped with the three True Legends documentaries, and just boots on the ground in the Mediterranean, Sardinia, etc. Puma Punko in South America, Peru, etc. You guys, I know the biblical cosmology part. A lot of people, but hey, I'm like you, Rob. Like you convinced me. I'm a globe, as we're told, skeptic. There's just too much stuff that I try and get people to just watch the 5 minutes, like the 666 stuff. Oh my gosh, 90 degrees, 23.5 at 6. Oh man, I can't regurgitate it well enough. But my gosh, I'll get off, brothers, and go to the next caller. But I just want to say how much I'm stoked, you guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. And that takes us to the break. We're going to break right now. It would be cool to team up with Timothy, but I don't think he would do it.
So. Yeah, he's not down with the flat earth stuff.
As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com.
Truth seekers are constantly studying alone. But there is a place where we can come together. The Digital Readers Club is our online ecclesia meant for those who've forsaken churchianity but still want the closeness of a family to study with. Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to put together the puzzle pieces of truth scattered throughout the ancient scriptures. Every day, questions arise.
Are the stories in the Bible true?
What if I told you that there are hundreds of confirming witnesses,
which give intricate detail to the stories in the Bible?
Have you ever found yourself deep in the rabbit hole with questions that no one seemed to have the answers to? Join us every other Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for our Ask Me Anything series with author and researcher Zen Garcia, as he sheds light on the mysteries which have us all searching together.
Welcome back to the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba, celebrating my 200th episode here on TFR, joined with my friend and co-host for the Quest for Truth series we're doing on the Book of Genesis, Zen Garcia. This is an open lines show we're doing, so it's a call-in show. If you'd like to call in, the number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. We'll go back to the call board here. And the next one in the queue is area code 336. Area code 336. Are you there?
Hello. Hey, Rob. Hey, Zen. How you doing? Hey, you can call me CJ when I am a Bible believer, but I have to get this out. I have to tell you guys about this, okay? So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Why You Are an Idiot. Okay? I put a bunch of stuff up, and I basically debate atheists. I've debated atheists, and I've made them look like idiots because, they believe in imaginary things. But I want to talk about something today. Rob, you know how you like to say you want to take the mythology of the other religions and apply it to the Bible?
Well, not directly. That I say, sort of King Wells was the person I first heard say this. He has a book called Ancient Myths in the Bible, and he was saying that you need to look at the Bible from a mythological worldview. And what he means by that is the Bible was written at a time when all the myths that we read about in school were very real. And so when you understand that the people in the Bible lived in the environment where all those myths were very real, it helps you to really understand more in context what's being said in the Bible. So that's where I agree with him on that, basically.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to talk about something when it comes to the other religions and flat earth. Okay? And this has to do with Genesis. This is before the flood. This is basically before the flood. You know how in the Greek mythology, we have what is known as a Titan battle?
Yes.
Okay, well, in Norse mythology, they also have what is known as Ragnarok.
Right.
It's the battle of the gods and the Titans and, the giants. Well, do you believe in the giant animals? Giant Titan animals? Do you believe in that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Well, in Norse mythology, there's this giant serpent. His name is Jormungand, but we just call him Jormag for short. He is gigantic and huge. He's basically just a giant snake. Now, here's the interesting part. If you read the book called The Epistles of Sophia, Jesus talks about this serpent, and he says it's real. It's not fake. He says it's very real. And he talks about how it circles the whole earth. Now, I have a picture of it, that it's real. I have a picture of it. It's real. You need a plane to do it. But I have a picture of it. Okay. It is gigantic and it is huge. To anyone who wants to watch the video and see what I'm talking about, you can click on The Judgment of Atheists, Jormag. Let's just type that into my channel.
How do you spell Jormag?
The Judgment of Atheists, Jormag. Jormag.
Jormag.
Yeah.
The Judgment of Jormag?
And, yeah. The Judgment of Atheists, Jormag. Because this is a judgment that the atheists will receive. This is speaking from the word of Christ. Now, remember I said I have the bodies.
Does this,
Huh?
you said this Jormag thing circles the earth. Is that the same as the Ouroboros snake?
Yeah, that Ouroboros snake? Yeah. It's real. It's actually real. Like, it actually exists, but it died in the flood. God killed it. When he flooded the earth, he buried it underground with all the dirt and drowned it. But it is alive. I have pictures. Yeah. Now, here's the interesting part. When you look at the moon, it has like marks on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you think those marks are? Because remember, we don't believe in space. We don't believe in outer space. But
Right.
those marks are there for a reason.
Yeah, I don't believe that they're asteroids because that would mean every single asteroid hit it at a perfect 90-degree angle, which just that never makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually,
it doesn't make sense.
yeah, Bob and Cami
Well,
Nodell have an interesting theory, and I've spent a lot of time watching the Thunderbolts Project YouTube channel, and they make an interesting case for how all the features that we see can be done through electrical like plasma discharges and things like that. But Cami is a gemologist, and she studies stones and gems and crystals and stuff. And I think it was called Celestine or Celestite or something. I forget the name of the rock, but there's a particular type of rock that when it gets wet, it pockmarks just like the moon. And I thought, well, that's
pockmarks. Okay, that's an interesting thing I've never heard. Now, would you like to hear my conclusion that I've come to that's completely different from yours?
Sure, why not?
Of why those marks are made? Okay. Before the flood, during the War of the Giants, Ragnarok, if you read Norse mythology, there's a wolf named Fenrir. It's basically a giant animal wolf. It's a titan wolf, that fought during the flood. Well, the story is that it bit the moon. It bit and chewed the moon. It started biting and chewing the moon. That's the story. Now, what I'm saying is going to sound crazy. I understand. I completely understand everyone that's listening. What I'm saying sounds insane and crazy. But if you truly believe in the Titans, the War of Ragnarok, you believe, God flooded the earth to kill them, then let's take religion literally. You like to say it, let's take the Bible literally. Well, let's take this other religion literally. What if that really happened? What if inside this glass dome cage, there was a Titan wolf that was so big that he was actually able to jump up or run up, depending on who you want to listen to, and actually grab the moon and chew on it? And I have a video about this. It's called Flat Earth Marks on the Moon. And I make a video describing it and showing and doing resemblance, doing picture by picture and going through the details of it. It's called Flat Earth Marks on the Moon.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's a bit way out of my box and very difficult for me to believe, just point blank. The other thing I thought of, though, was that Ragnarok, as I understand Norse mythology, and I could be wrong, but I thought Ragnarok was their version of Revelation, that it's the end of the world.
No. I thought that too until I found out that after Ragnarok, the flood happens. After Ragnarok, the flood happens. So basically, the Ragnarok story is the time of Noah, the time of, Jared and, all these other, Enoch, basically. All these other, basically what I would call prophets, I guess. But during this time, this is what was going on. So this is something that God has pretty much put on me to look at. And I've been looking at basically these other religions and seeing what they're saying. And you guys know what Yggdrasil is?
Know what is?
Or the world tree? World tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tree that reaches unto heaven that got cut down. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay, yeah, you can look at that in Daniel 4:11. There was a tree in the center of the earth that reached all the way to the dome, and one of the watchers made an order to cut it down. And then during that time, that's when the War of Ragnarok started. That's actually when the War of Ragnarok started, because I can connect the Norse, the Ragnarok situation, exactly with the Daniel 11 through 15.
All right.
I can connect both of them.
Cool. Zen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've never heard people interpreting it as far as, at the beginning. I always thought it was the end as well, but something to consider.
Yeah, the giant wolf eating the moon, playing fetch with the moon. I don't know if I could go with that. And with the big trees and stuff, where are you on the whole no forest on flat Earth concept? What were your thoughts on that, Zen?
I do believe that there was an age when not only there were larger giants, but also that all the creatures were very much larger in stature, and you had dragonflies with 6-foot wingspans and furs that were massive, and even the mammoth seemed to be um, pointing to a time when elephants were larger in size and existed at in a different age. And it seems very strange that they were frozen quickly, and that they were in the process of eating and chewing their food, and then all of a sudden something occurred, and that they were encased in ice, and everything changed as far as climate and environment.
So yeah, I mean, I've thought about that as well. Is that, I mean, these things were larger than elephants and froze instantaneously.
Right.
So that's a serious quick deep freeze going on there. But I forget the guy's name. He's a friend of Alex, the flat Earth guru guy, the flat Earth man, the guy that makes all those cool songs.
Does the music,
he his friend, I met him for dinner or lunch or something after one of the conferences, and I think it's in Spain or something, I forget where it is, but you probably heard about this mountain range that looks like an elephant.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
right.
And he started looking at the anatomy of an elephant and where various openings in the skeletal structure for nerves would be, for like the eyeball or the ears or whatever, and was out climbing around in those caves and saw that, well, there looks like that is a hole where that would be if it was a skeletal structure. And then you got all these other people, Michael Tellinger, talking about rocks that very much look like hearts and kidneys and different soft tissue organs that have been fossilized. And if that's the case, then some of these organs went to something very, very large. So yeah, when it comes to the issue of the trees, like Devil's Tower, that one, that one to
being
me,
a stump.
Yeah, that it could have been a stump. That one's very bizarre. I don't know what to make of it. That's as reasonable an argument as any, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's a very bizarre structure, at least to my mind anyway. But a lot of the other arguments, that all the plateaus that you see in deserts and stuff like that, these are all stumps, I don't buy it. Like Table Mountain in South Africa and Cape Town, I've been there. I've stood on the thing. I don't buy that for a second, that was a tree stump. So while I do believe that there were things very, very large, I don't buy all of it. I guess that would be my.
Yeah, and I think that there needs to be more study and examination. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that every flat mountain plateau was once a giant tree. So, but I do think that there is something to it resembling what seems to be the living structure, the hexagonal shapes and the cells and all that, showing that it could have been organic matter at one point. Because we see that even there seems to be mountains that look like fossilized, petrified
people,
giants, even. People, animals, and all kind of weirdness. And so, and then, the Roger at Mud Fossils University and also Michael Tellinger looking at the some of the as far as these rocks and their fossilized structure and how they seem to resemble even the individual that was at our conference that had the giant thumb. Did you meet him?
At your conference, the last one?
At our conference, at this last conference, he had petrified, fossilized, giant digits, fingers, and the thumbs from, and oh my gosh, they were amazing. You could totally see the nail bed, and I mean, it was like a giant thumb, and it was huge. I'll send you a picture that we took of the 2 digits that he had brought, but one of them was a thumb, and the other was a partial finger from not a thumb, but a different finger. But yeah, amazing.
Wow, I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, because I thought for sure he would have went up to you and showed them to you, because he did us, and I was like, oh wow, you got to show these to Rob, because he would fully trip out on it. Wow,
that is cool. Well, cool. Thank you, caller. The caller's YouTube channel was "Why You're an Idiot." That's awesome. Yeah, I get in trouble for that all the time on Facebook, because I just, I'm just saying what other people are thinking. I speak my mind. I'm like, such an idiot. Then these Christians go psycho on me for calling people an idiot. I'm like, look, that's a Bible word. Fool is the biblical synonym for idiot. Meanwhile, some of these people who go off on me for saying idiot are the same people who call me a foolish Galatian. So you're calling me idiot Galatian, Anyway, might want to check out that YouTube channel. I'm interested in the Norse mythology as much as many of the others. The Norse myths are pretty rich. I mean, of course, we've got them in pop culture with Thor and stuff like that, but.
Yeah, I'll make one last mention. With regard to the Norse mythology, it does speak about the whirlpool at the center of the Earth plane. It calls it Havelgamir, and it calls it the world's navel, the Earth's, as far as the ocean's navel, which I thought was an interesting description.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Cool. All right, let's move on to, the next one on the call board. Looks like an Arizona number, area code 480. Area code 480. Are you there?
Yeah, Rob, can you hear me? Zen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome.
Hey, guys. My name is Patrick. I just like to say I'm a huge fan of you guys. I listen to you guys every week. It's one of the very few things I enjoy in life. And Rob, you are completely true when you said that, how do I paraphrase this? When you said everything that you've put, all the evidence you've put forward since 2014 regarding flat Earth, and how you said God is like tangible now that we know that there's a firmament dome above us. Mm-hmm. Everything regarding that, like what you said, it brought you running back to Christ, and that is the God's honest truth of it. And wow. I'm so thankful you guys are on the radio, excuse me. But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to ask you guys. Oh yeah, Zen, regarding the was it a manuscript, or what was it regarding Abraham? Do you know where that was found? Because I could not remember for the life of me.
If you're talking about the writings of Abraham, all I know is that it was pulled from an Egyptian sarcophagus in 1831, and Rob looked up some, details on it. If that's the one you're asking about, and
correct, yes, yeah. Correct.
But and that's all I know about it.
Of Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. One more thing before I forget. Is there any way, or let me rephrase that, do you guys have like a P.O. box I could send you guys like a money order or a cashier's check? Because I don't use credit cards or debit cards. I just use cash. And I don't know how, to give you, just to donate to you guys. I would love to do so. I just don't have that information. Do you know where I could look that up?
Sure. If you go to my website, robschannel.com, if you go to robschannel.com/support, and on that page you'll see there's all kinds of ways you can do so. I appreciate that, certainly.
Yeah, of course.
Couldn't do what we do without people like you, so definitely want to always express my appreciation. So thank you so much for that. And Zen, you have a
of course.
Contact?
Yeah, I don't have a P.O. box, but my address is pretty public. It's 520 Embassy Walk, Winder, Georgia 30680. So, but yeah, we again do appreciate it. Yeah, 520.
Yeah, of course. So it's Embassy Walk. correct?
Winder.
And we're in Georgia. Winder. Okay.
Winder.
I'm from Snellville.
Oh, right on. Well,
I'm
you're
from
real close.
Snellville. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we had done monthly meetups prior to all the COVID stuff. So if we ever able to continue that, look forward to meeting you.
Well, I would. God, that'd be so awesome. The only thing is that I live in Scottsdale, Arizona now, but that'd be
right on.
awesome if I was able to go back and check that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's your name, brother?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for taking my phone call. I just can't, express enough how much love I have for you and Zen, for everything you guys do, and it makes my week that much better with the information you guys put out.
Well, thanks, man. What's your name, sir?
We appreciate you as well.
My name's Patrick Warren.
Patrick, well, God bless you, brother. And
yeah,
thanks for
you guys.
calling
God
in.
bless.
All right, thanks, man.
Of course, take it easy.
Blessings. You guys, you were doing a monthly meetup group?
Yeah, we were doing a monthly gathering of, just our listeners to give them a chance to hang out with us and to do meals, break bread, pray for each other, that kind of thing. And we would also go to church together because we attend this outdoor church that one of my friends hosts, and it's a really small gathering, like 10, 15 people usually at the most, but it is outside in the forest with all these giant oaks and really cool. So we would do church first and then go and share lunch, and we would do that once a month with, whoever wanted to come up and join us. And that was one of the ways we were actually able to meet the Chavezes, Isaac and
oh wow,
yeah, Isaac and everybody, and good people, and so that was a great blessing. And we've met really awesome people as well doing this.
I would love to do something like that again. We, when I first left the full-time ministry that Sheila and I were a part of, I rented about a 1,200 square foot space. It used to be for, I think it was like a dance school or something, had real nice hardwood floors and stuff, and wide open, a good size wide open space. And so I could put about 50 chairs in there or so.
Awesome.
And what we were doing, because this was back in 2010, and that was when Ancient Aliens had really just sort of started making its mark on the world. I mean, it was like its second or third season or so by that time. And, I had a friend of mine that had just graduated from Bible college, and he was actually thinking about starting his own biblical school. And he watched like season 1 of Ancient Aliens, and I don't want to say he was shaken in his faith, but he was shaken up a bit. And he said, Rob, I mean, what do we do with this? We can disagree with their conclusions, but what's our answer for it? And I thought to myself, wow, in marketing, they say find a need and fill it, right? There's a huge need right there to be addressed. And, it was a big part of launching us into what we're doing. I mean, everything that I've been since 2010 has been to be the antidote to the Ancient Aliens crowd.
Yes.
And so we had paranormal movie night, and we did that like once a week or something. I don't remember how often we did it, but we had quite a few of them. It was really good. It was an outreach to the area. We'd watch like a couple episodes of Ancient Aliens, and then I talk about it from a biblical worldview. And that's actually where I met King Wells. He attended one of those, and that's how I found out about his book, Ancient Myths in the Bible. So we kind of tag teamed a little bit. Then much later, he went off on the deep end of the Black Hebrew Israelite thing and joined forces with Dante. And needless to say, we no longer talk.
Yeah, he doesn't like me at all because of my work with Serpent Seed.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was cool, man. If this COVID thing ever lightens up at all, I don't know if we're back to the old normal again. I sure hope we do, but man.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
You and pretty much everybody, I think.
Yeah, right.
But well, we got about a minute before we go to the break, so there's still several people in the caller thing here, so we'll get to them when we get back from the break. Did you guys ever watch any of those shows like that, any kind of thing, or was it just kind of a free for all talk?
Well, of course, we ended up discussing those kind of things, and after the meal, we would basically have open dialogue, open Q&A, and people would, ask me whatever it is they wanted. We had to kind of stop until after the meal because I would never get through my meal. Because
that's the problem with
advantage.
The speaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard to eat when you're going and all your food's getting cold.
You're right, exactly. So I have to eat first, and then we do the gathering.
As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com.
Truth seekers are constantly studying alone. But there is a place where we can come together. The Digital Readers Club is our online ecclesia meant for those who've forsaken churchianity but still want the closeness of a family to study with. Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to put together the puzzle pieces of truth scattered throughout the ancient scriptures.
Your partnership with Sacred Word Publishing goes further than the publishing of ancient manuscripts and weekly video content.
You also make a huge impact across the earth in orphanages in Myanmar, India, Uganda, and Kenya.
Your support is crucial for the development of the ecclesia of real truth seekers.
We thank you for joining us in hosting Secrets Revealed, Momentary Zen, the Digital Readers Club, Ask Me Anything series, and other shows that have helped lead so many to the truth of salvation.
To become even more involved, please visit patreon.com/sacredwordpublishing, where you can partake in exclusive, interactive, patron-only content and help us continue shining the light of love in this darkened world.
Back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba, celebrating our 200th episode here on TFR with a listener caller show. Call in at 213-233-3998. You can call in again at 233-3998 if you'd like to chat with myself and or Zen Garcia, who's joining me. And we'll go back to the call board here. And wow, it looks like somebody in my neck of the woods here in the Grand Prairie, Texas area, I think. Area code 469. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, this is Bethany.
Bethany, how are you?
Hello, Bethany.
Doing well, thank you. I've heard every single show of y'all's in this series, and I've enjoyed it a lot. But anyway, I have a question. When y'all were covering the flood of Noah, I don't remember what text y'all read from, but Jubilees was one of them, and something else that Ben read. But you both read over where it talks about the ark landing on Mount Lubar in the mountains of Ararat, and not Mount Ararat, like a lot of people think Mount Ararat. The ark's not there, but it is in the mountains of Ararat. And I know Jubilees mentions Mount Lubar. Something else Zen also read mentions Mount Lubar. So I know you mentioned how you feel about Ron Wyatt and his research. I'm just wondering, are y'all familiar with Mount Lubar? And what are your thoughts on the final resting place of the ark?
Sure. Zen, you want to go first, or?
Sure, and I'll be quick. I have great respect for Ron White, and I think a lot of what he had done, was confirming witness to what the Bible had revealed. And I was fortunate enough one time to speak to Jonathan Gray, who was also like an archaeologist, and he would go and confirm biblical findings. And he went there to join Ron Wyatt in looking at his discovery, and he seemed to be convinced. Again, with regard to Ron and his family, I got great respect for them. I don't know if all of everything that he's brought forth, because I've not looked into it in great detail, but as far as Mount Lubar, and he seems to have, journeyed to Saudi Arabia and shown the split rock and the chariots at the bottom of the Red Sea and things like that. And so I think that a lot of his work is very convincing.
Yeah, along similar lines, I have great respect for Ron Wyatt's work as well, specifically his findings with, as Zen mentioned, the crossing of the Dead Sea, the split rock, the real location of Mount Sinai, Sodom and Gomorrah, a lot of that stuff. But when it comes to both, I'm not with him on either of the Ark stories, the Ark of the Covenant or the Noah's Ark find. And I am familiar with Mount Lubar in the text that we read. I'm not sure that there's a place. Zen, are you aware of a place on Earth still named that?
No, I'm not.
I'd have to look into that myself.
It would be intriguing, though, especially since we do have these witnesses as far as, the numerous texts we did read, and that there was mention. But with regard to the location currently, contemporarily, I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of places that we read in the ancient texts that have names that are no longer names today. I don't know if that's one of them. It could be, but I'm not sure. But one of the other reasons why I don't buy the Ron Wyatt story is I'm also really good friends with Dr. Aaron Judkins, and he's an archaeologist, and he and a team have been to the traditional Mount Ararat, the Ahura Gorge area, and that one seems to have a lot more credibility to it than the other one. Ron found evidence with the ground penetrating radar and stuff of wood and metal and things of that nature. The dimensions aren't right, for one thing, but he excuses that and says, well, it's because it was more of a boat shape, and then it splayed open over time, and that's why it's wider and bigger and everything. And I think he has another way of explaining it with a different size cubit too. But I think the research that Dr. Aaron Judkins has done on it is far more convincing, at least to me anyway. I mean, I know Ron's done some really interesting research with regard to what I think you call them the drogue stones, the stones that have like an eyelet in the top. And And that's not to say that those couldn't be real. I mean, maybe Noah released the dronestones, once he started seeing mountaintops, and so I have no problem believing that some of the stuff that Ron found could be true and could in fact be linked to Noah, but the site of the ark itself, I think that the stuff that Dr. Aaron Judkins has done is a lot more convincing. And there's, as I understand it, the Mount Ararat that we have today, as known as Mount Ararat, was named that because when Marco Polo came through that area, the natives said that that's the place where Noah's Ark was. And so he's like, well, if that's where Noah's Ark was, that's Mount Ararat. So it became officially named Mount Ararat because the locals were saying, yeah, there's a boat up there. So that people have apparently come back from that location with petrified wood and, pitch and different things, supposedly. And supposedly back in, I think it was during World War II, if I'm not mistaken, some aerial photography, high altitude aerial photography of that area revealed what very much looked like a large structure that fit the dimensions of the ark that had split in half, and part of it had slid down, I think, into the gorge area, as I understand it. And say what you will about astronauts, but astronaut Jim Irwin spent the rest of his career looking for it up there. So there's a whole lot of scientific research that has been done on that location that seems more credible to me than the location that Ron did. As far as the Ark of the Covenant goes, it's a compelling story. I'll give you that. I mean, it's his story about, the blood from the cross coming down and going through a crack and then landing on the mercy seat right underneath the cross. It's a really compelling story. And I met Richard Reeves, who is Wyatt's one of his right-hand guys for years. He was speaking at a Sukkot that I went to one time, and I had a chance to have dinner with him. And I said, what's the deal with that? And he goes, well, all I can tell you, brother, is I knew Ron very well, and he very much believed what he said. The story that Ron gave, he believed it. He said, but I have found no evidence of it. So, take it whatever you will with that, and people have been trying to validate that story for a long time. Where's the lab that he supposedly took the blood sample to? There's no way to vet the story. That's the problem. But again, like Zen, I have utmost respect for Ron. I just personally don't buy either of the Ark stories.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking my call, and I appreciate everything y'all do. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. All right. These are fun. It's like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get, right?
Right.
We could be talking about anything from Gematria to giant wolves playing fetch with the moon.
Right.
So
it's cool to give people a chance to speak with us directly.
Yeah, I don't do this often enough. I need to do it a lot more often. So maybe I say that every time I do that. I do this every now and then, and I'm like, man, I really enjoy this. We should do it again. Let's do it more often. Okay, so area code 412. Area code 412.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Michelle. I'm calling from Pittsburgh. Actually, I'm a Texas Tech alum, and I didn't know you were at Texas Tech for many, many, many times. But I've been listening to your broadcast, and what brought me to you, Rob, and by the way, congratulations on the 200th episode. And I'm not familiar with Zen Garcia, but hello. And
hello.
Thank you for taking my call. Hi. There's been this is a two-part question for both of you guys. I've had some supernatural paranormal encounters. I moved back here to Pittsburgh. I went to school at Tech. And when I moved back in 2011, I was working at I won't say what the place, but I was working at a store and had a encounter with this person. And I never saw this happen before. And that's what brought me to your YouTube channel, Rob, was trying to find the truth of what's been going on in the world, because I've been questioning a lot of things, especially after I graduated there. I've had some really unusual things that's occurred in my life. But I am a Christian. And the thing is, this encounter really changed my view of the world. And this gentleman, he was a regular at the store. I was working as an assistant manager. I saw his eyes shapeshift. It just changed in front of me. And I was like, asked him, oh my gosh, what happened to your eye? And he was like, if I told you, I'm going to have to kill you. Just very serious.
He said
and
that.
I've never experienced anything like that to a point where it shook me to my core. And I knew he was serious. And it was kind of eerie because it was almost like he could read what I was thinking.
Oh.
And he came back several times. As a matter of fact, my heart went out to him because he didn't have a car. He was taking the bus transportation. So I offered him a ride before this encounter, by the way. I took him to the grocery store, local grocery store, dropped him off at his apartment, and come to find out he was a piano instructor. I don't know if that's true, but to make a long story short, after I've had this encounter with this gentleman, he was like about 6'9", almost 7 feet tall. Yeah, and very pale. He said he was from State College out close to Penn State, where he originally came from. Now, throughout the years, this happened in 2012. 2013, I had a UFO experience, sleep paralysis, and an encounter outside my workplace where 4 to 5 people that were my coworkers had the same encounter because they witnessed this. And this thing has been hanging out like in the sky since then. Like it comes and goes, but it's still in the vicinity where I live. Now, I have friends in Lubbock, Texas. I've asked them the same thing, and they said they see it in the sky as well. Now, I looked up Genesis 6:4 about the Nephilim that were in the earth in those days and also after that. And I read up on that, and I studied it. And I'm thinking that these creatures that I think are now called Nephilim or reptilian, serpent seed, I believe I had an encounter with a serpent seed. And this isn't just the first time. I've had more and more like coworkers, supervisors, where the pupils on their eye turn into a black slit. And the people that I talk to that are like this, they almost seem like they can read your mind. They almost seem like they feed off your emotional energy of fear. And once they show themselves like that to you, they kind of know, they want to see what your reaction is. Well, they know I'm a child of God. I don't know how, but they do. I don't go around preaching that I'm a Christian, but they know for some reason. And I've had some paranormal experiences since then. So my second thing is, with that scripture, Genesis 6:4, where it says that the Nephilim were in the earth in those days and also after that. When it says that after that, does that mean even in the present time? Because in the Bible it says men will have fear like in the days of Noah. And I believe we're living in the days of Noah right now. Things are changing.
Yeah, I think Zen and I both would agree that we are, if not in them, rapidly approaching them, the days of Noah for sure. As far as these experiences go, especially with regard to serpent seed, I'm more and more convinced that there's definitely another group of people out there among us. As far as Genesis 6:4, I contend that the after that is entirely in a pre-flood context, but I acknowledge that they are still around, if that makes sense. The context of Genesis 6:4 is still in it before the flood. However, clearly, as soon as the flood's over, within a few chapters, we're already into giants again, that they're back, So as far as Genesis 6:4, that's a yes and no. No, Genesis 6:4 isn't talking about today, although today is
Right.
after the flood, and giants were after the flood. So if that makes sense. But as somebody
Right.
who is a child of God, I believe these are spiritual entities or people that have hijackers, if you know what I mean. They've got piggybackers either in them or on them that can see what's in you. But what you need to understand is greater is He that is in you than what
Amen.
they
Yep.
what they have.
Amen.
Exactly. And I think that's what's been really like a consolation to my faith is the fact that I know these demonic entities exist. And especially at that place where I was working, I had a paranormal experience that happened there as well. And my coworker, who was my other assistant manager, noticed it as well and saw it and witnessed it. And we both were like, well, what's going on here? We asked the manager. Manager said there was a fire that took place back in the late 80s in that building, and several people died. So there's hauntings. So not that I believe in ghosts, but I do believe in the supernatural. I do believe that there is a dimension, and I think the veil is lifting now because we are in the last days. And because the veil is lifting, these things are coming into our dimension through satanic sacrifices, summoning demonic entities. There is a Luciferian agenda, and I think, more and more people are waking up to the truth. And the truth is in the Bible. People just need to read it. And like myself, I've been just immersing myself as much truth as I can find biblically, because I know the Bible is what I need to focus on, not what man says or what anybody else has to tell me. I just go to the source, so to speak. And I've had other paranormal things happen as well. I had a Bigfoot encounter just last year in April up here in Meadville on my friend's 200-acre hunting lodge property. And it was to a point where I didn't get freaked out or anything. I just know that they're around, and people can say whatever they want until they've encountered and seen it for themselves. And they, the powers that be can try to prevent us from knowing the truth, but it's there. People who want to know the truth will uncover the truth. And I know the Lord has been opening up my eyes, and I don't know why they're there, but I know that there's a UFO connection with these beings. I don't know if they're part of, what is it? The person that was born, there was two brothers, and one was Harry. He was a hunter. I forget what you call that in the Bible.
Yeah, Esau.
Esau and Jacob.
Right. Thank you. Yes, Esau and Jacob. So Esau. So some people think that Bigfoot is a descendant of Esau. He was a great hunter. But there's, missing 411 situation with David Paulides coming through the forefront of what's going on with these missing people all over the state national parks of our great country, and people are not coming forward because of fear of scrutiny and just being discredited, especially by the BFRO. The BFRO, from what I understand, are researchers who are trying to document this. And whenever people come forward, things happen in their towns. I had an encounter that shook me to my core, and another one, and it just keeps ongoing for the last year. Nothing has happened so far, thank God. Well, I can't say that this year, but I did have another crazy encounter that happened the beginning of this year before COVID, like in end of January. I had a visitation right here outside my front porch. So whatever it is, I rebuke it. I claim the blood of Jesus over myself, over my property. But, you know, I don't understand why all these paranormal and supernatural things happen, but I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that the veil is lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And things are coming.
Well, we're about ready to go to break. Sorry, I need to cut you off there for a minute, Michelle. But you know, I just want to pray over Michelle right now for deliverance. And Father, I just thank you that the blood of Christ has power over all these things right now. We just declare a hedge of protection around Michelle, that she doesn't have to have any more of these encounters. And we just rebuke these things by the blood of Christ in Yeshua's name.
Amen.
Any thoughts on any of that before we go to break, Zen?
I do think that the veil is getting thinner, and that the spirit and material world is overlapping, and that this kind of thing will become more frequent.
Have you read Russ Disdar's Black Awakening book?
No, I have not.
I haven't read it myself. I've skimmed through it. I've certainly sat through a number of his conference lectures on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back when I was first listening to all that stuff, I mean, now this is going back to like 2010 through 12, that time frame, 12 and 13, back when I was in the in crowd and hanging out with these people.
Yeah.
I actually got to spend time at Russ's house and talk with him about all this stuff. That, I mean, that's some really sobering stuff that is a time when these people believe there's going to be a mass awakening, and they're sort of like they're embedded like sleeper cells everywhere, and they're just going to pop up everywhere. And, you know, I mean, let's face it, Revelation 19:19 says that the armies of the world gathered together to make war with him who's coming on the horse. And so that's a lot of people, you know?
Right.
Did you remember, oh gosh, I forgot the name of this. I think they were twins. I remember this story, and I actually saw a video of it. Actually saw the actual footage of some of it. This woman who was like totally possessed and super human strength, and she jumped off of like I think she was like going to try to commit suicide or something. Jumped off of an overpass, and I think she got hit by a car or something, and she was still out and about afterwards. Oh man, it was Madness in the Fast Lane, I think was the name of the video. Something like that. I think it's Madness in the Fast Lane if you look it up on YouTube. Pretty crazy stuff. Like, and I remember LA's Marzulli talking about that, like something's going on here. There are people that are able to sustain injuries that they never should have been able to deal with, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up maybe on the break. We're going to break in a couple of minutes here, but you know, Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. Is whether or not they're descendants of Esau, I don't know. I do believe that they are Nephilim.
Yeah, I think that they're connected to the pre-Adamites because the Sumerian mythology describes them, that they were present here when they began to genetically manipulate and work with to try to make them a slave race.
Really?
Yeah, and it describes them as being, I mean, just like Bigfoot.
Yeah, I just looked it up while you were talking. Madness in the Fast Lane, Swedish sisters, and one of them I think gets. There's a whole like sort of like a O.J. Simpson style chase. They're trying to find these women and get them and whatever, and one of them, when they think they got him down, she just throws these guys off her, runs into the street, gets hit by a semi.
Oh my God.
First, I think she gets hit by a car and bounces off of it, and then she gets up again and gets hit by a semi. And I remember watching it. It was like you could almost see her going over the wheel well, like when the semi.
Oh my gosh!
And she still survived it. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I don't.
There's a multi-part series. It's like Madness in the Fast Lane, Part 1, 2, 3, 4 parts.
She's still alive?
She was in the video.
Oh my gosh, that is insane.
I think it was in the UK or Sweden or someplace. It says BBC 2008. In 2008, BBC cameras filmed two Swedish sisters throwing themselves into traffic on the M6.
What?
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, that's some seriously jacked up stuff. But I mean, it played right into what the caller was talking about. These a different breed of people out there, for sure. That Russ Dizdar was talking about a Black Awakening. Now, whether they are actually reptilians in the David Icke sense, or just people that are possessed, or people that have been genetically modified, or I don't know. I don't know what to make of that stuff. But some of these stories, they sound crazy, but these days it seems to be more and more validating them. So I can appreciate the caller talking about these things, but again, we just pray deliverance over her. She's not going to have to deal with this stuff anymore, and just pray peace, and there's no more sleep paralysis or anything like that that would cause problems in the future.
As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com. Your partnership with Sacred Word Publishing goes further than the publishing of ancient manuscripts and weekly video content.
You also make a huge impact across the earth in orphanages in Myanmar, India, Uganda, and Kenya.
Your support is crucial for the development of the ecclesia of real truth seekers.
We thank you for joining us in hosting Secrets Revealed, Momentary Zen, the Digital Readers Club, Ask Me Anything series, and other shows that have helped lead so many to the truth of salvation.
To become even more involved, please visit patreon.com/sacredwordpublishing, where you can partake in exclusive, interactive, patron-only content and help us continue shining the light of love in this darkened world.
Many truth seekers are constantly studying alone. But there is a place where we can come together. The Digital Readers Club is our online ecclesia meant for those who've forsaken churchianity but still want the closeness of a family to study with. Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to put together the puzzle pieces of truth scattered throughout the ancient scriptures.
And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba. This is my 200th episode here on TFR. We're doing listener call-in night tonight. The call-in number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. And during the break there, I was looking up some more stuff. There's a channel on YouTube called Immortal Truths with a Z and all one word. So if you do Immortal Truths with a Z at the end, all one word, they have the whole documentary of Madness in the Fast Lane. It's 48 minutes long. The description says, in 2008, BBC cameras filmed two Swedish sisters throwing themselves into traffic on the M6. When it was shown on BBC One, which I believe was live, like I said, it was sort of like an O.J. Simpson thing, where they're like, trapped this whole thing. Nearly 7 million viewers were glued to the screens, and then millions more watched it later, when it was archived or whatever. But yeah, you got to check it out. It's a pretty. I posted a link to you in Skype.
Okay. I definitely will.
Just on your, not on this call, but on your personal Skype.
Both of them launched themselves into traffic.
Oh yeah,
so they were both trying to kill themselves. And you said they jumped from an overpass?
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I watched it back in like 2012 or 13, whenever it was, a long time ago. But yeah, it seemed like they jumped off an overpass into traffic, and it was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I think they were trying to kill somebody. I think like they were some kind of like activated sleeper cell or something, that they were trying to kill someone. And like super soldier kind of stuff. I mean, it's almost like right out of like Terminator or something. It's
right. Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But the caller was talking about Bigfoot being a descendant of Esau, and I was reminded, I think it was either this last week's Torah portion or the one before, I forget. But I mean, it talked about Esau, and he married his first two wives were Canaanites. They were Hittite women, and the Hittites, their name means the terrors. So, he was already red and hairy, and if he married into Nephilim clans, very well could be that, some of these characters may actually be descended from Esau. It's a reasonable speculation, I think.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think that they were, the Bigfoot type people are primitive hominids, and that they date back to even, the Genesis 1:26-28 and even further, because according, and I'm not giving any credence to the Sumerian account, but as far as what it mentions within the story, they arrived here 432,000 years ago, which seems to be in sync with the Sumerian kings list, and then they describe having discovered this hominid because they then want to manipulate it in order to make it to where it will work for them. They try to create a slave race out of it, and they want to task it with doing menial labor like mining for gold, which is, according to them, the whole reason they came. But I don't accept the premise, only because it's the whole reason they were mining for gold, according to them, is because of the ozone depletion on their so-called planet, and that they were needing to crush the gold into powdered form to suspend it into the atmosphere to refract the sun's rays every time they came close and were in the orbit path of encountering the sun, which, again, the sun is just one of all the other luminaries which move in circle around Polaris. All the planets aren't moving around the sun, and so that whole premise is kind of negated.
Well, yeah, that goes back to the whole Zachariah Sitchin.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
All right, we've got another caller here from area code 215. Area code 215. Are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi, this is Cody. Just had a quick question, kind of more basic here. By the way, congrats on 200 episodes.
Thank you.
So it says, I'm actually even on the first page of the Bible. I was watching your Genesis series, and it inspired me to actually just, give a closer look. So, and it said, and God called the firmament heaven. So the firmament is heaven, and the heaven is the firmament. So I wanted to get your thought on that, because I always thought of heaven as being above the firmament, but he's saying on the very first page that the firmament is heaven, and so and it also says the firmament divides the waters from the waters. So are you saying that there's water above heaven? So I just kind of wanted to get your reaction to that.
Yeah, well, the Hebrew word there is Shemayim, which is plural, first of all. So everywhere you see heaven singular, it's actually not a proper translation. It should be heavens, plural. And so the firmament is in the midst of the heavens, if you will. I mean, some say there are 3 heavens, some say 7 heavens, some say even more. But I think it was actually Dr. Kent Hovind, who I remember at one point talking about the Sham and Mayim being, parsing the word that way, that it means basically water in it. And so, which would be true. It separates waters above from waters below. Waters are in it. So when he calls the firmament is the rakia, heavens. When you look up, that's what you're going to see. You're seeing what's in the firmament, if that makes sense.
Right.
Zen?
Yeah,
okay.
I do agree.
Yeah.
And as far as the firmament, it is described in some of the extra biblical manuscripts as being the floor for what is the heavens above, and that it is the boundary, the impenetrable barrier between the lower heavens and the upper heavens, and that we see these divisions also found in the Noah's Ark and Solomon's Temple, as well as the wilderness tabernacle, and that the throne room is representative of the Holy of Holy. But yeah, again, the above and the waters being present in the above the firmament and it dividing the waters, I believe is why we see the sky as blue. That because it's crystalline and semi-transparent, that we're able to peer through and see the waters that are held above this particular boundary.
So what about when you see, these like live feeds of, the NASA live feeds or whatever, and the sky is black, why is it black when you're looking at it from up there, but when you're on the, on the ground, you look up and it's blue? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. As you may know, if you followed some of my work from back in like 2015 and 16 in particular, we had done a few high altitude weather balloon launches, and I was really intrigued by the fact that it goes from blue to black a lot quicker than you might think. I mean, it was like around, I want to say about 40,000 feet, maybe. It was, just above where most commercial airlines are flying. I mean, they're typically flying in the 35,000 foot range. You get to about 40 and above, blue turns to black, but it's pitch black. Like there's no stars there, like pitch black, like no stars. So I know people talk about that we may be looking up at the water on the other side of the firmament, but I've launched weather balloons beyond the blue. So, I don't really know what to make of that, frankly.
Yeah, as you go down to the ocean floor, it's not blue anymore either. So it's, there's something to think about there. So yeah, that was it. Actually, I just had one more really quick question. If you have time, you could probably answer it in like 30 seconds, if that's okay. It's again in Genesis when God says, "Let us make man in our image," or when He says, "Behold, the man is become as one of us." Why is He? What am I to make of this? Him referring to Himself in the plural sense, like when He says "our image" or "one of us." Why not? Why doesn't He just say, "Let us make man in my image," or "Let me make man in my image"? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think the standard Christian argument is that it's the Trinity, that it's talking about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as the us, the plurality of God. Zen, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I do agree with that. And actually, I had read earlier in a show this whole passage that I discovered, which described exactly that, and it references the Trinity, and it speaks about how it was the Trinity that had created everything, and humanity is also made in the image of the Godhead. But I'll share this one passage really quickly. It says, "So myriads of holy ones worshiping the Trinity were in the exalted places before the world came into being, in a light befitting those who love Christ in glory. For God is a living light that cannot be comprehended. Those who worship God are in this great light and holy glory. They never for one moment cease glorifying and worshiping openly the true divinity. They neither forget nor turn away, nor do they hunger or thirst, nor do they eat anything at all, for they are luminous spirits. For them there is no light or day, stars, moon, sun, ice, or fire. All these came into being later when God wanted to create the world. Both heaven and earth came into being in 6 days, along with everything in them. And so from that time until the present, as we are writing these very words, we know the years as we have found them in the generations of the Holy Scriptures." And then last thing here. "So then, is it not truly obvious that before God created the world, he created every incorporeal nature in a multitude of other times without number, holy angelic powers, glory, and every power in heaven." And then it goes on, to describe the Trinity basically establishing all things. And it even says in Isaiah and other places that it is the Word through wisdom, which, is the Holy Spirit. And so, but yeah.
That makes sense. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys. Again, congrats on 200 episodes. Really big fan of the show, and God bless. Love your guys' work.
Thank you, man.
Well. Be blessed.
All right, have a good one.
All right, see ya. All right, and let's go to caller from area code 865. 865, are you there?
I'm there. How's it going, fellas? Happy 200.
Hey, thank you. Who am I speaking with?
This is Aaron. I'm actually, my handle is Incarnate Unlimited. You guys probably recognize that.
Yeah.
You got a book that I won. Thanks a lot for that. I'm really excited about it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited. That's let's see. I had so many things to talk about, and then just like now I'm here. Let's see. Yeah. First off, you guys are doing some amazing work. I'm absolutely guilty of envy there. I feel like you guys are doing so much work for the kingdom, and I just want to do a fraction of what you guys are doing. Let's see. Now my tongue's all tangled up. I think I had kind of an epiphany about, you guys were talking about the Devil's Post Pile and the Devil's Tabletop and whatever that is, the basalt formations, the hexagonal ones.
Mm-hmm.
When the flood was here, I think possibly those. I wonder if those actually happen to be where there's like a ley line conjunction. Electromagnetic field along with the denser waters from the flood from above. It could have something to do with that. But anyways, dang. Now I'm all tongue-tied for some reason.
That's all good, brother.
I think really what I was gonna talk about was what was it, day 6 when the animals were created?
Man was created on day 6. So you have like fish and birds showing up before that, and then animals. Well, is man the only one created on day 6? I'd have to go back and look at it again.
Yeah, I think they were starting on the 5th day.
Okay. Well,
and there were some animals created with both the Genesis 1 man and Genesis 2
Well, in Joshua, it mentions that the ram that showed up to take Isaac's place on the altar was the same ram that was the first ram that was ever created on day 5 or whatever it was. That ram was older than Adam.
Really?
And it was created that day for that express purpose of taking his place on the altar, just to give a kind of perspective of how much of a long game God is playing when he creates stuff. You know, that's how far his plan was.
That's in the Targum.
Really? So this was a lamb created from creation that presumably made it on the ark, obviously, and then was there for the Abraham deal with Isaac?
Yes, for exactly that purpose, yes. He was caught up in the thicket, and it does mention, that he was older than Adam and created.
Wow, I've never heard that before. Well, I mean, that would fulfill that prophecy, right, from the foundation?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That always blew my mind. I love that part.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, we're not that far.
We'll be getting to that.
Yeah.
Not long.
Well, cool, man. I want to get to a few more calls. We got about 9 minutes left, but thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah,
be
thanks
blessed.
again for taking my call. Love you guys. It's a good
Love
work.
you too, brother. Enjoy the book.
All right. Thanks,
man.
All
right, we'll do, man.
All right. I have time for a couple more here. Area code 580. Area code 580.
Yeah, hello. This is Jeffrey. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jeffrey. How are you doing?
Yes, welcome.
Oh, great. I love y'all guys. I appreciate everything y'all go through for the sake of spreading truth. I want to try and keep this quick so you can get to more calls. And by the way, I first met you, traveled all the way from Oklahoma down to Beaumont to meet you for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and also in Lubbock. But the throne of God being above the North Pole and the colors that are described in the Bible attributed to that, like the emerald and stuff, do you think there's a link between it and the Aurora Borealis?
That's interesting. I don't know. I haven't thought of that. When I was first introduced to Andy Hoy's circular dome tent model, when you look at his model, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the Tabernacle in the Wilderness, he contends that it was a big 6-story high circular dome tent. And so in that model, the Holy of Holies is in the center, and it has these massive curtains, circular curtains surrounding a circular Holy of Holies. And on the curtains are the cherubim, images of the cherubim on there. And so when he first told me that, I immediately thought about the Aurora Borealis, the so-called Northern Lights, and wondered, well, wait a minute, is that the actual, that because the model is depicting something that Moses was shown in heaven, and now I believe he was shown the model of the earth, and he created a miniature model of it, if you will, in which case the curtains surrounding the Holy of Holies would be what we see as the Northern Lights. But any other thoughts on that, Zen?
I do believe that there is connection with the Aurora Borealis, and I do write about this in the Firmament Vaulted Dome of the Earth, because we see that in John the Revelator in chapter 4, he mentions seeing the throne of God sitting upon a sea of glass like unto crystal. And then in chapter 15, he cites it as being a sea of glass like unto crystal, but on fire. And so I believe that at that time that it was perhaps wrapped in the glory of what is the Aurora Borealis, and that's why it has in appearance, and also the mention of the rainbow, the spectrum.
Like
that
the
Aurora Borealis is also in similarity a rainbow spectrum of colors as it plays out in the atmosphere. So I think there is connection to that and the interplay of the firmament and the throne room.
Cool. All right, brother.
All right, cool.
Thanks, man.
I wanted to see what y'all thought about that.
Yeah, thank you.
And y'all have a good night. And
you too.
Thank you
Be
so
blessed.
much for what y'all do.
Okay.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.
God bless.
And we got 6 minutes left. I don't know if let's try one more. Let's see. maybe it'll be a quick one. Area code 909. Area code 909. Are you there? We got 6 minutes. Hello? Going once, going twice. Nope. Maybe people are freaking out. 5 minutes left. Got a quick one here. Maybe area code 724. 724.
Yes. Hello?
Hi, we got about 5 minutes. You got a quick question?
Hi, Rob and Zen, brother Rob, brother Zen, long time following you guys. Thank you for your work. You definitely opened my eyes. This is Kevin, by the way. Sorry.
Hey, Kevin.
Anyways, hey, I'm getting a little ahead, but I know, we're in the book of Moses and stuff. So what do you think really kept him out of the promised land? What was his sin? Do you guys, what's you guys' opinion on that?
Well, I think, and this is something sobering for me to always consider as well. I don't consider myself a teacher. I always tell people, look, I'm just a loudmouth student with a headset and a webcam. But I realize that I'm in a position of a teacher, that the things that I put forward are teachings, and that the teacher is always held to a higher standard. And that's always really sobering to me to think about. And Moses was like the ultimate teacher and person of a higher standard. I mean, here he is being given the law to be the one who gets the law from the Creator himself and is telling the people of God, hey, listen, these are the rules we got to live by. We got to obey God. And then he turns around and disobeys God. And so, it's kind of like, well, dude.
I just think that really...
It's a bummer.
It really resonates with a lot of today's church, what this idea of mainstream Western Christianity is it's so diluted and stuff. And, in the last 5 years, I've really come to Torah. Me and my family, we observed Passover and stuff, and to the best we could, we're all works in progress, but I think that it's really interesting that we look at the patriarchs and we see that they're humans, that they needed God just like we do. And, and we have the blood of Jesus Christ today. Amen. And hallelujah. And thank you, Father, for that. And I was thinking about that. And, I just was like, is it pride? Did he maybe take, I don't want to say take credit for some of the stuff that happened, but, it was just something I was pondering. I'm like, oh, I just happen to be up against these two guys. Let's see what they say.
After 40 years of dealing with those people, I think every nerve he had left was frayed.
Right.
And he's just like, he in a temper tantrum, just like, okay, fine, pow. And God's like, I didn't tell you to do that, bro.
Right.
When he hits the rocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. Yeah. When he strikes that. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought too. But well, I thank you very much, brothers, for your insight, and I'll be always listening.
Okay. All right, brother. Well, thank you. Thanks
for
calling.
God bless.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's probably all the time. There's a few callers I didn't get to. Sorry about that. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a few shows and then maybe insert one of these every now and then.
That sounds good.
While people are fresh in the material.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and if they have questions, we can answer them.
Yeah, or I mean, the discussions we're having, I'm loving them. It's hard, sometimes I try to keep up with what's going on in the chat room, but it's, I'm too busy either reading myself or follow along with whatever you're reading, and or I'm writing notes to myself as I'm listening to you going, okay, I want to ask about this because, so it's really hard to, multitask like that and to be able to interact with the audience who I'm sure has lots of questions. So, I really enjoyed doing that, the couple of times we did that at your conference.
Yeah, the Q&A. Yeah.
So we'll have to make a policy of doing this. Maybe you and I can offline figure out what makes the most sense. But after so many episodes, maybe do another one of these. But definitely want to thank.
I agree.
Everybody that did call tonight. Thank you guys for calling in. Apologize we didn't get to everybody. But you guys made it an enjoyable 200th episode for me. So thank you. That was really cool. And we managed to get through it without talking about politics. So that's really good.
Yes. Whoop, whoop.
because, man, that's just making my blood pressure go.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Dude, like just crazy. But yeah. So next week we will be on your show, and don't remember exactly where we left off. I think
chapter 17, I believe.
Genesis 17.
Yep.
And I read through. I think all we did in the last show was just the Jubilees deal, because we spent most of it talking about the circumcision issue.
Right. Yeah, we were getting to Isaac and the seed of promise, and also the judgment against Sodom and Gomorrah.
So we're not far then from the story of Abraham and Isaac then.
No, not at all.
Cool. Well, we'll pick up on your show next week. Thanks, Zen.
All right. God bless. Good night, all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this video and this broadcast. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for your patronage. Please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. God bless all of you in your seeking.